Welcome, welcome, welcome to ASAP's Town Hall meeting on underage drinking. ASAP is the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention, and we're so very glad to have all of you guys here. Give yourselves a hand really quick. Give yourselves a hand. All right, many of you guys may be wondering, what exactly is a town hall meeting? And this town hall meeting in particular comes from SAMHSA. Every 2 years, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration sponsors national town hall meetings to educate communities about underage drinking and to mobilize them around its prevention. ASAP, thankfully, was selected as one of the sites to host a town hall meeting. So that's why we have invited all of you guys here. We see all these wonderful students, parents, and so many other community stakeholders. So we're very happy to have you at this wonderful occasion. We also are being recorded by TV24. This will run on TV24, and a wonderful just showing of support from them as an organization. So we definitely appreciate them. My name is Seyram Selassie, and I am the Executive Director of ASAP, Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention. I'm joined also by some of my staff. You have Mr. Jason Lindell in the back. You have Miss Misha Watley as well, and they all work for ASAP. We also have a wonderful representation of our board members. So we have Mrs. Corey Conder, Mr. Michael Morgan, and we have our past president. I'm sorry, let me say the positions as well. Corey is our current president. Michael is our treasurer. We have Mary Wertenberger. She is the past president of Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention. We have Coretta Grant, who is one of our panelists. We also have Valerie Jones, who is on our board as well. So these make up the board for ASAP, Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention. We definitely want to thank all of you guys as guests for coming. It means so much that you would take time out of your precious schedules and so many other after-school activities to be here and share this event with us. So we do thank you. We will have food from one of the most wonderful places in Anniston, Mata's Pizza, Mata's Greek Pizza. All right now I want to introduce our panelists. And panelists, when I introduce you, if you could just say a little more about yourself, what you do in the community, and just why you're here. So, and obviously to talk about underage drinking, but why also you took time out and not getting paid and were willing to show up. So let's start with my right. We have the mayor of the city of Anniston, Mayor Vaughn Stewart. Give him a hand, please. So Mayor Stewart, what made you come out this evening and just take some time and come and have a good time with us?
Well, my vice mayor, Seyram Selassie, told me I had to be here. And but seriously, I really do enjoy working with Seyram, and we're both 14 months on the job. And let me say to ASAP and this audience, you've got a gem right here as your executive director, and you've already discovered that, I know. But he is just wonderful guy to work with. He's very forward-thinking. He's project-oriented. He completes the task, and he's great with people. And that's some qualities that any ED needs over any nonprofit. I'm here because I love the community and I love young people, and I'm really so glad to see so many students here. And I was municipal court judge in the city of Anniston for 15 years, so I'm attorney, judge, and now mayor. So I've kind of worn several hats. And but I got to work with a lot of different families as a judge and continue to do that as mayor. But I commend ASAP as far as this new mission on underage drinking, trying to get to the younger age group, because that's where you make the difference. That's where the decisions are made. That's where you mend folks. That's where you create better options, choices, better choices, and put them in a position to make the right choice when they get in those teenage years. And so I think that's real good. That's goes along with my same philosophy as far as education. I'm very much interested in elementary and secondary, but I think we have to really invest heavily in pre-K and early childhood and really build that strong foundation where our students can compete for national scholarships, and they're competitive just as you would want them to be competitive on the football field or the basketball court. And But the same goes for this particular topic. It's a huge problem, not just in Anniston or Calhoun County, but throughout America. And it's something that we brush up under the rug a lot of times, underage drinking. And I think as the evening goes along, we'll get into more details. But it's an honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Give Mayor Stewart a hand, please. All right, we have our wonderful board member, Coretta Grant. So please just explain why you're here and what you do as well.
Well, good afternoon. It's going to be hard following the mayor. That was so eloquent. As Saram said, my name is Coretta, and I work with the health department, and I'm a social worker. And I've been at the health department for 18.5 years. And currently, I'm in the position of the tobacco prevention and control coordinator. And you might say, well, what does tobacco have to do with alcohol? Well, they go hand in hand. When you use one, most of the time it leads to the other. We like to call them gateway drugs. And alcohol and tobacco are gateway drugs. And if you ever talk to people, they'll say, well, I've heard it said so many times, I only smoke when I'm drinking, or I only drink when I smoke. So they go hand in hand. And I'm here today because Ron made me come as well. And he said I had to represent the board. But I'm here because I love the young people. And I love meeting people in the community, getting out, talking to them, and telling them the dangers of tobacco use, or telling them the dangers of alcohol use. 11% of the alcohol consumption in the United States is done between the ages of 12 and 20 years old. That number is staggering. 90% is binge drinking. We as parents, we as leaders, we must do something to combat this problem. So that's why I'm here today.
Give her a hand, please. All right, and last but not least, we have from the district attorney's office, he is an assistant district attorney, Mr. Foster Marshall. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Something about myself, my job is to put people in jail. The reason I'm here is I may be able to bring a unique perspective to this town hall meeting, in the sense that I've prosecuted juveniles in juvenile court for minors being in possession of alcohol. I've prosecuted college students under the age of 21 for being in possession of alcohol. I've prosecuted adults and juveniles who have been convicted or who have been charged with driving under the influence of an alcohol or controlled substance or combined influence or under any substance. I've also prosecuted adults for maintaining an open house party. So I'm hoping that my insight and my experience could be very helpful, and I could try to answer your questions on that regard.
Give them a hand, please. One other tidbit of information about ASAP before we get started is that many of you guys know, you see us in the schools. We do serve all of our schools in Calhoun County, the 5 different school districts: Jacksonville, Oxford, Anniston, Piedmont, and the Calhoun County school system. So we do our best. Again, there are so many needs but limited resources. But as we work with the community, we look forward to expanding and get into more of those hard to reach places where we just can't get just yet, but we are hopeful. So I want to go ahead and get the town hall meeting kicked off with my first question to the panel. Now first, also remember, you guys see the microphone in the middle. At the end, if you have a burning question, we want you guys to ask a question to the panel and just get this, draw on this wealth of information that you have sitting before you. So my first question to the panel, and you guys just feel free to jump out, and then I have certain specific questions based on your backgrounds. But my first question is, do you guys think that underage drinking is a problem in our community at all?
As a prosecutor, my answer would be it's something to be concerned about. Alcohol is heavily regulated. The reason it is regulated is because it is a drug and it can be abused. And if you have immature young people who want to be grown and adults, and I'm not being judgmental, I was 16 once, I understand that, but it is regulated for a reason, for health and safety issues. And finally, my responsibility is, it is a crime for a juvenile to possess it, to transport it, to consume it. So it is something definitely to be concerned about and to be vigilantly pursued and prosecuted for the very reason we want to keep our young people safe, and we want to keep them alive and unhurt.
Great point, great point. Is it a problem, Ms. Grant?
I think so, and especially this time of year, it's prom time. And people, especially our young people, like I said, I was young once, many, many moons ago. But it is a problem because we think prom, we think limousines, we think long dresses, we think corsages, and we think drinking afterwards. Someone's house or whatever, and that's when you get into hosting things. Have a parents or adults that host, and that's wrong because they're underage. And we think that because we rent a limousine and they're not driving, that it's okay for them to drink. I've even had a person that's close to me say, well, I purchase alcohol for my kids so that they can drink it at home. That way I can regulate it. And I said, and my response to that person was, but you're sending your child a wrong message. You are saying that it is okay to do the illegal things by being an underage drinker. And so yes, we do have a problem in this community with that.
All right, great points. Mayor Stewart.
I think we do as well, and I think anyone that would pull up to any of the ABC stores, and it wouldn't take you 30 minutes to just observe what is taking place with adults going in and buying liquor for underage consumers. It's a issue that does not get a lot of media attention until something awful happens, such as an automobile accident with deaths and or suicide, and those are in between. But I think we need to change the mindset, the conversation as far as adults. I think we as adults have a lot of blame, and as a community, and just like Coretta said, it's almost, some students or teenagers feel like it's a rite of passage that, one day they'll be 21 and they'll just start early, and some of the parents give in and so forth. But I don't think they realize the ramifications, and we'll get into all that later. But it is an issue. I had not seen any type of stats in this community, but I know it is, and it's something that, we can make a difference as a community, and if we'll take this and make it a priority.
Very, very good points. Very good points. To add to their points, you guys, underage drinking costs U.S. citizens $62 billion in 2010. These costs include medical care, work loss, and pain and suffering associated with multiple problems resulting from alcohol consumption by youth. So these guys are already giving some of the stories that feed into that number, $62 billion in 2010. So obviously throughout the country, and definitely in the state of Alabama as well, I would argue that we do have a problem with underage drinking. But as the mayor has mentioned as well, it doesn't get as much media attention, and that's why SAMHSA and so many other groups, SAD and MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they work so hard to try to get the word out about these really prevalent issues in our community. So I thank you guys for your answer. Let me go into something else, because you guys already hit on what we call social hosting. And social hosting, pretty much, you guys, is when adults allow young people, allow youth to drink in the home. And they have those comments, as Ms. Grant mentioned, oh, well, as long as they're doing it around me, it's okay. But social hosting is illegal, and you could go to jail. So let me ask my panel, I guess let's start with Mr. Foster Marshall. What do you say to parents and adults who permit underage drinking in their home? What ideas do you have, especially from the prosecution side?
You'll be subject to arrest, and you'll be subject to prosecution, and you could possibly very well go to jail. And there's also that possibility that DHR may get involved. The Department of Human Resources may get involved, and there may be issues regarding whether or not you are a fit parent to keep your child. And then you'd have to go through all kind of programs, or you'd have to pass their benchmarks before you can earn your children back. Let me be perfectly clear on specifically on the charge of open house parties. It is not a defense to an open house party to say, well, I didn't invite those other kids. That's not a defense. It is not a defense to say, oh, but my kids in the group weren't drinking, weren't the ones with the drinking. Those other people brought the alcohol to my house. That is not a defense. If I can demonstrate that the parent, the adult in the residence knew or should have known that there was either alcohol or controlled substances on the premises in this house party, I've got that individual, and that individual can be prosecuted. It is very serious. You're absolutely right. It's almost in our culture. We've been fighting this battle for many years. Back in the 20s, we even passed a constitutional amendment to attempt to outlaw alcohol altogether. And we all know how that turned out. We had to come back a couple of years later and repeal that. But in repealing that, the United States Constitution gave the states immense latitude and discretion on how they regulate alcohol in their own states. And as I mentioned before, alcohol is very heavily regulated. And it's something that has to be taken seriously. People want to be adults. People want to bond. And I see this a lot. You know, fathers want to bond with their sons, so they'll let them sip that first beer. They're together. You know, nobody's driving it. That is still a crime. Throwing a party and even in a controlled environment and passing out alcohol, that is a crime. Allowing it to be on your premises, that is a crime. It is something to take seriously. First of all, the shame and embarrassment that many people feel from being arrested in the first place, and the shame and embarrassment of having to be booked and processed and fingerprinted, and if you can't make bail right away, having to sit in jail against some dangerous looking person saying, well, what are you in here for? And you say, I let my kids drink alcohol at my house. And they've cut somebody, and you know you're a target. Okay, and you know, in addition to that, being arrested, there's a possibility, you know, you could possibly lose your job. Obviously, if you lose your job, you can't pay utilities, you can't pay the mortgage, you can't pay the rent. There's a lot at stake. So the implications are very, very big, and a lot of people that I have prosecuted for open house parties, they just didn't see it. They didn't see what the problem was. Those weren't my kids. I didn't invite them here. They're not my responsibility. If it's on your premises, if you are present, if I can prove that you knew or should have known that there was alcohol or controlled substances on your property, then I can prosecute you.
Very good points. When you start to talk about and listen to some of the things that Mr. Marshall is bringing up from the prosecution side, parents, you guys really ought to understand the seriousness of underage drinking. 41% of all teen automobile crashes involve alcohol. So that's almost 50%. And oftentimes it's coming from these social hosting parties, these parents that are allowing young people to drink in their homes, and that is illegal. So that's something very, very important to keep in mind. Mayor Stewart, where do you think minors are obtaining alcohol just besides in the home?
Well, I think, you know, they're getting adults to take them to these convenience stores, to the ABC stores, that type of thing. Also, and I have very little patience with this, with any adult. You know, to me, teenagers, elementary schools, are very valuable cargo. And just like we would invent a vaccine, if there was some disease that came about, like polio when I was younger, you know, underage drinking, we need to, you know, basically declare war, because it interferes with their youth development. So, you know, I have very little patience with adults buying liquor or buying beer for others. I have even less patience with store owners that allow youth to come in and purchase, or bars that allow them to come in and drink a beer or whatever. But that's what's happening. The adults are getting involved. And then, like Foster said, you've got these open parties as well where they're not supervised. And, but that's basically where it's taking place.
Very good point. And a lot of this, you guys, just stems from having conversations like this, informing each other. A very strong statistic here shows that children who have parents that talk to them at an early age about underage drinking, those children are less likely to participate in underage drinking and become alcoholics. So to Coretta, you being a parent too, what do you think is hindering many parents from talking early to their children about underage drinking?
And I see this with tobacco especially. We don't realize how young they start. When I go out and I do presentations and I ask, how early do you think people start? And I get answers like 14, 15. No, we're talking 9. And I think the parents think, well, I'm going to talk about it next year. I'll wait till they're 12. I'll wait till they're 13. No, the time to talk to them is probably when they first start school, because peer pressure, they're going to school with other kids and you don't know what's going on in those other kids' homes, and they bringing it to school. They have all kind of issues, and your kids are having to deal with that on a daily basis. As early as possible, talk to them. I talk to mine all the time. The first thing we do when she gets in the car in the afternoon, I ask, how was your day? And I try to know what she's doing, who her friends are. So it's important that we talk to them, because a lot of times we, as parents, we think we know, but we don't. And things have changed since we were that age. There's cell phones now, there's the internet. They know a lot more than we ever knew. And so we need to talk often. We need to start early, and we need to do it often as possible, talking to our kids. Let's not get into this mindset, well, they're not old enough. They're always old enough. If they can go to the internet by themselves, or either they can go to grandmother's house and show grandmother how to get on the internet or how to program her cell phone, because mine does it, that's the time that you need to start talking to them. Because 8 or 9, almost at 10, it's almost too late to start talking to them.
Very, very good point. Please.
Can I say one more thing? That this point was raised, and I didn't mention this before. It is also a crime to purchase alcohol for a underage person. And it is not a defense to say, well, I didn't spend my money. The kid gave me the money and asked me to buy it for him. That is not, believe, I've heard it all. I've seen that. It is a crime. That's called contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Again, there's a possibility you're being subject to being arrested, having to go to jail, fingerprinted, bonded out, and having to come to court and possibly face jail time for that.
Very good point. And to add to that, statistics show that most 6-year-olds know that alcohol is only for adults. So even as early as 6 years old, parents, young people are observing and know that, wait a minute, alcohol is for adults. Now, let's be real clear. The Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention and everybody up here on this panel, we're not saying that alcohol is bad. What is bad is underage drinking. Alcohol is a legal substance that many adults enjoy, young people. But the main thing is, even when you do become an adult, enjoying it responsibly. And it's funny because you hear that a lot, enjoy responsibly, which brings me to my next question from the panel. What forms of media do you think influence alcohol consumption amongst minors? And let me just tell a story real quick. I have a story. It's so interesting to me, from the rap hip hop side to the country side, the way in which we're projecting these images to you guys as young people. On the country side, one song, and it's catchy, Red Solo Cup, I fill you up. Let's have a party. She knows the song. You know the song. And from the hip hop side, blame it on the goose, blame it on the alcohol. So from all arenas, from country music, hip hop, rock, I don't care, you name it, they're throwing these images out there. But let me go back to you guys really quick. What forms of media do you think influence alcohol consumption amongst minors? And do you think that alcohol companies specifically target youth?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. That's why you have flavored beverages. They're flavored. You think your wine coolers, and a young person might say, well, it's not as much alcohol as if I was drinking something harder. And they have different flavors. Oh, it's strawberry. It's just like strawberry Kool-Aid. So they add flavors to entice kids. And the kids see it in the movies. They see it on television shows. Some of the shows, not so much Disney, but that other channel you like, Nickelodeon and ABC Family, that's it. I sat there to watch a show a week ago, and I was like, this is geared toward children, and they do everything. They smoke, they drink, they lie. And this is what our kids are watching. And they think that if it's okay on TV, it's okay for me to do it in real life. And so television is the main thing.
Anybody else?
I think also the sports channels, you know, and ESPN and on and on and on, you know, and you kind of are lulled into, well, this is okay. And, you know, it's on ESPN. You associate, well, that's, you know, the basketball players are on the screen, then you see the beer, or the football players are on the screen, then you see the beer, and on and on. So, you know, a lot of little messages are going out there to these young people, and so.
Very good point. To the parents, please be aware, and the young people already know some of these names. For example, Four Loko. That was the latest trend. I see some smiles out there with the young people. Four Loko was the latest trend. You would think this is nothing but an energy drink, but it is, I think, 18% alcohol or something. It's a very, very high in alcohol content, and young people were getting it, and parents just thought, oh, well, these are just little energy drinks they're drinking. No, it is an alcoholic beverage. Another trend, it really hasn't hit this area yet, but a new one is alcoholic whipped cream. There is now alcoholic whipped cream that is out there, but again, the colors is multicolored, is, hey, buy this, but these products are marketed towards young people. And one of the biggest things I think about, and it's rather unfortunate, but parents, again, a reason why it's so important to talk to your young people, is that one of the biggest times that we as Americans as a whole get heavily bombarded with alcoholic marketing is during the Super Bowl. I like the beer commercials, you like them too. I understand, but young people, again, these are adult drinks. They are for people 21 years of age and older. And we'll talk about the age limit as well, because I know that comes up a lot. Let me jump back to the law for a second. Mr. Marshall, do you think that there are sufficient laws to reduce underage drinking? If yes, what are the most effective laws? If no, what additional laws need to be passed to reduce underage drinking?
Well, obviously, I don't think that there are enough or sufficient laws to prevent or reduce underage drinking, but at the same time, we have to balance that in this context. We live in a free society, and in living in a free society, we are saying that we accept a certain level of risk. And so, as I've indicated, alcohol is already very heavily regulated. And business establishments that sell or serve alcohol, they are heavily regulated by the ABC board, the Alcohol Beverage Control Board. And their license depends, their survival in business depends that they follow all of the regulations as it relates to alcohol and minors that work for them, and minors that may possibly come in and try to purchase alcohol from them. It's very heavily regulated. I've prosecuted people who have been charged with serving alcohol to a minor, either in a restaurant or in a convenience store selling beer. When they come in and they have their Russian ID and their name is Skrolikov, and you're looking at this 17-year-old. Okay, and so, yeah, so I think that I guess you would need a legislature up here to really speak to that. As in form of a prosecutor, in all honesty, I don't know how much more we could possibly regulate it, short of sending agents to everybody's houses and searching the houses and searching all the kids. But again, we live in a free society, and in order to make that balance, there has to be a certain level of, I guess you'd want to say, honesty or goodwill, that we're going to abide by those rules. But we have enforcement agents out there for those people who break the law.
Very good points. Very good points. Well, it's about, as he already mentioned, the culture, and us making sure that we, at least young people, have a balance in our culture. Now, one thing that we must talk about before we even get into questions and answer session is the imbalance oftentimes is in our culture. So first of all, let me explain to you guys how statistically this is defined, what's called binge drinking. And Mayor Stewart, I just kind of want you to get ready. Binge drinking is defined as 5 or more drinks for a male and 4 or more drinks for a female in a row in one setting. So that's what is considered binge drinking. According to the Monitoring the Future study produced by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, occasions of heavy or binge drinking among college and high school seniors increased from 2011 to 2012. Now, Mayor Stewart, something else that you guys don't know, he was actually the president of the University of Alabama, student government president of the University of Alabama in 70...
Way back.
Way back. So not only was he a college student, but he was also an SGA president. So Mayor Stewart, I would like to know from you, why do you think there's such a culture of binge drinking on college campuses, and how can young people avoid being caught up? Many of you young people will be going on to college, and especially freshman year is when you get bombarded. Come to this party, come to this party, drink this, oh, do the keg, all this different type of stuff. But Mayor Stewart, again, why is there such a culture? But more so, how can young people avoid being caught up in that culture of binge drinking?
Well, I think it goes back early in age, and I see these females out here, and the Legacy Club walked in earlier, some of the members, and I salute you and everybody that's involved with these youth development clubs. I know the Alphas do the Legacy Club, and the Deltas have a club for young people, and on and on. There are a lot of options, positive options. It may be a service club at the school, but we've got to give our young people an option to do something productive. That's called youth development. And I think that's a role the schools play. A role the parents play is, yes, you talk, but you listen. And it's a two-way conversation. But back to the binge drinking, you know, you've got to basically have self-confidence in yourself, and that starts at an earlier age. And you've got to really value your future more than anybody else around you and not be swayed by them. You've got to have a goal. You've got to know what you're going for, okay? That starts in elementary, forming that, creating that strong foundation. It evolves and develops even more in middle school and in high school years. And so when you get the peer pressure in high school or college, you're really too cool for that crowd. You know, I mean, you've got things going. Your grades are good. You're already applying. You know what career. I mean, you know, you've got your act together. You're too smart for that. You know, they're losers, okay? They're not cool. And, you know, and it's all about moderation when you become an adult. But I think that the young people binge drink because they don't drink as frequently as adults. So when they do, they try to make up for it. Plus, they can hold their liquor better than adults, so they drink more. And I think they're used to taking risk, and they don't mind doing that. But, you know, one too many, you know, is an issue. But you can take a lot of other, you know, risk and do some mountain climbing and things like that. But I think it's really having your house in order as a person early in age, your parents helping mold that for you, and making sure that you have the options to be involved in different activities and this and that, goal setting, so you have the self-confidence in here that these other folks are not going to basically control your day-to-day activities, and certainly not your outcome in high school or college.
Very good points, very good points. And when you think about binge drinking, or even young people, if you think, oh, well, my buddy, he drinks a couple of beers every day or on the weekend or something like that, there's a reason that the age limit is at 21, because there are certain effects that alcohol has on the young person's developing body. And if we can just get some insight and deeper perspective from Ms. Grant coming from the health department. What do you know as far as the effects of underage drinking on the young person's body?
I'm glad you asked me that. When you're young and you drink, your body is still developing, especially your brain. And so it causes you to lag behind. Young people who drink have problems in school. They have higher absences and poor or failing grades because they can't concentrate. They have social problems such as fighting, lack of participation in youth activities. It affects more than just your mind. It affects your body, your liver, your pancreas. It causes legal problems when you drink underage. Physical problems, hangovers or illnesses, which I mentioned before. Unwanted, unplanned, and unprotected sexual activity. disruption of normal growth and sexual development, physical and sexual assault because you're under the influence. You don't know what you're doing. Higher risk of suicide and homicide because when you're under the influence, your mind is telling you one thing and you're doing another thing. Alcohol-related car crashes and other unintentional injuries such as burns, falls, and drowning. Memory problems, it affects your memory. And then you abuse other drugs. You drink, you smoke, marijuana, and then you go deeper. You go further. It affects your brain development. They have lifelong effects. And then there's death from alcohol poisoning, and that comes from the binge drinking. And alcohol poisoning is too much alcohol. And so there are a lot of things that you need to consider when you underage drink.
Thank you so very much. So again, young people, there are major effects that alcohol can have on your body as it's still developing, and Mrs. Grant went through a lot of those effects. Now, before we get to closing comments from the panel, we now want to, and this isn't just for young people, adults, you guys can ask questions to the panel as well, but we have a microphone right here. We want this to be interactive. So if you have a question, and I know some of my ASAP staff may have some extra points they want to add as well, but if you have questions, please line up right there in front of the microphone and shoot them to the panel, and we're going to answer those questions. So let's get it started, and please don't be shy. Okay.
How can we get parents to become more responsible to their children? And to me, it's a matter of responsibility of parents that they teach their children not to drink, not to smoke, not to do drugs. How can we get that to where parents understand it is their responsibility? It's hard because both parents work. They don't come home till 5, 6 o'clock. That leaves the children at home alone most afternoons. So how do we get them to understand it is their responsibility and get the words out to their kids?
I think this town hall meeting that we're having this afternoon is a start because we are educating not only the youth but their parents. It's going to be televised and the parents will get an opportunity to watch it. I think we need to have more of these. And we need to sit down with our kids more and talk with them more. This book here, The Surgeon's General Call to Action, is free. You can get it off the CDC website, and I think another website I saw it on as well. Get this book, read it. It has some interesting ideas on what we as parents can do to communicate with our kids. There's a wealth of information out there on the internet that you can order, and it's all free. You can order this information, read it, and discuss it with your kids. The information is there, and it, like you're right, and it starts with us as parents. It does.
Very good point.
From my perspective, I will try to put as many parents in jail as I possibly can, and the word will go around. The word will go around that this is something to be taken very seriously. Even if they don't agree that it's that serious, at least if the risk and the possibility of losing something that's very important is there, and if it's actively and vigorously prosecuted, that's my contribution to get the word out.
Mayor Stewart, I think a little bit about, you talk a lot about having constructive things for young people to do after school, and because she was mentioning, you know, parents not being able to get off work until 5 p.m. What are some of your thoughts on that, just with those alternative activities?
Yeah, you know, if I had it my way, and the students won't agree with me, but I would extend the school day and possibly the school year, but I wouldn't make it all academics. Now, hear my plan first.
Wait a minute, get us reelected now.
We would, and don't worry, I don't have that authority. I'm not on the school board, and I'm not the school superintendent. But no, I really do feel that it's important that young people be doing constructive things after school. And, you know, and I would love to see an after-school program that would be citywide and could be countywide, and that would, obviously you would have a choice if you wanted to participate. That would be a blend of academics, recreation, life skills, et cetera, and really trying to work on youth development issues, because a lot of our young people don't have both parents in the home, and if they do, everybody works like, say, Ram said. So I think it's incumbent upon using the schools as a vehicle to reach the parents through the teachers. Another source to reach the parents, think about it, is their doctor. Who do they listen to? And church too. And but as far as everybody has a doctor they go to either at the hospital or in the private office, et cetera, educate those doctors. You know, that's something ASAP could do. Educate the teachers and put that information, do presentations at PTO meetings, do presentations in the housing communities. But I'm a big believer in really giving kids good options, quality options that you would want to do after school during the summer enrichment programs, that type of thing. Because then by the time you're 15, 16, and it's time to date, you're going to date somebody that's got their act together. If you're a young female, you're not going to settle for just anything. And if you're a young male, you're not going to do likewise. So I think we've got to equip our young people early in life to make those good choices on their own, because the parents are not going to be there always. But encourage the parents to have these conversations, to realize it is an issue, as Foster says, in this community, and it's not something that we can just sweep under the carpet. But the parents have got to be careful to listen. There's, we as parents sometimes want to do all the talking, but we've got to zip it up and listen and see whether, because a lot of times they're crying out, these kids are, and telling you, well, so-and-so drinks now in my peer group, or so-and-so this. Listen. Have a two-way conversation, because those are early warning signs, because they're in their little friendship circle. So but I think this is very good here, and I think we just need to do more education.
There are so many other things that teachers, counselors, healthcare professionals, all community stakeholders can do to get involved to help combat this problem. I want my staff to come up, Jason Lindell and Misha Watley, to the microphone, and just some quick observations that you guys have seen dealing with underage drinking as we've been serving this community. So please come to the microphone.
Observations. A lot of the observations we get is kind of the parental aspect of it. A lot of these kids have easy access to it. And by the time it's their parents not being aware of their kids, because a lot of these kids can go in their mom's. I mean, they can go in the refrigerator. There's beer, there's wine in the cupboard, there's liquor in the cabinet. And by the time the parents realize it's gone, it's too late. So just being aware as a parent, number one, because most of the kids that we deal with, whether it be in the county system or the cities, a lot of it is single family homes or kids being raised by grandparents. So that's kind of just more awareness of parental involvement, which again, but one of my questions was, I guess, whether it be for the mayor or Assistant District Attorney, Mr. Foster, do you think the police are, I wouldn't say it's cracking up, because a lot of the times the kids underage think, well, I'll just get a slap on the wrist, I'm not of age, no biggie if I get arrested, or it's not going to happen to me. Do you think the law enforcement is not hard enough, too harsh? Where's kind of the line, or do we need to just,
well,
with that aspect of it?
From my perspective, right now, I can gladly say we don't have a situation where we got young people walking down the streets, turning the bottle up. The police have to run into them and go to where the kids usually are. If they're hanging out at a ball field, chances are you're going to catch somebody with some alcohol. If they're at the movie theater, skating rink, it's where the kids are. And you don't want to, again, they have to find that balance. You don't want to create a police state. But I would say when the police see an underage person smoking a cigarette or in possession of alcohol, or the officer makes a traffic stop and there are nothing but teenagers in the car and there's all these kegs in the car, somebody's parents are going to get called and they're going to be sent in. Juvenile court is different from adult court. The juveniles aren't going to go to jail. They aren't going to have to bond out. Their parents will be contacted. They will be placed under supervision with the court. If I have enough evidence that I can prove that that child is guilty, then they'll be placed under supervision, because obviously the goal of juvenile court is rehabilitation. So I personally, my assessment is I think the officers are doing the best job that they can, considering the challenges that a lot of this is done, outside of the view. But when the police are present, either at ball games or at skating rink or at the park, chances are they are going to run across some kids that are in possession of alcohol.
Very good question.
Thank you,
Misha, a quick observation and no question, because then we have to get into a special presentation.
Okay, I really just have a fact that I just researched. But it says, according to the 2012 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, about 9.3 million Americans between the ages of 12 and 20 report current alcohol consumption. So it just shows that 9.3 million, this was in 2012, 12 through 20, with
Thank
alcohol
you.
consumption.
Thank you so very much. So right now, before I have closing comments from the panel, we have a very special presentation. This is coming from a high school senior at Piedmont High School. His name is Mr. Andrew Posey. So if you would come up, please give him a hand.
Underage drinking continues to be a problem in our community because it is allowed. Before I get into anything else, I do have some statistics myself. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 39% of high school students have consumed some amount of alcohol. And that goes along with the facts from 12 to 20. Also, each year, approximately 5,000 people under the age of 21 die as a result of underage drinking. This includes 1,900 deaths from motor vehicle crashes, 1,600 result from homicides, and 300 of those deaths result from suicides. Adolescents are known to have academic problems and behavioral problems in school, and they also exhibit signs of memory and concentration problems when participating in underage drinking. Alcohol is extremely easy to access, as has already been noted, through parties, through school friends, and through other establishments such as bars and restaurants. Adults today will easily buy alcohol for a minor without any questions. They will not ask any questions if they are asked to purchase alcohol for a minor, and this includes parents, siblings, older friends, and family members. Children grow up in homes with alcoholic parents, and the parents have no, as it was noted, they see other family members drinking, and that makes adolescents think that underage drinking and alcohol drinking is okay. It's okay to do it. When they get older, they're like, oh, well, my mom drank, so now I'm a teenager, I can drink too. Many parents and guardians, they see no harm in allowing their children to drink in the supervision of their own home, and they think it will caution them to be safe. But in reality, supplying children with alcohol in their own homes does not decrease the chances of drinking further into their teenage years. It actually increases those chances. Drinking among many teens is seen as the cool thing to do. Many teens believe that in order to fit in with their peer groups or their friends, they need to drink alcohol so they'll fit in and be seen as cool or popular. And they think it's the right thing to do to stay active with their friends. And many teens drink due to stress from school or family problems in those teens who work. I see this on a daily basis as a high school student, that many people I go to school with do participate in underage drinking, and that's when it becomes the parents' responsibility to stop that from happening. They don't understand the health problems underage drinking can cause, and it shows that students who drink heavily are at higher risk for health problems than they are as adults. Reducing underage drinking requires community-based efforts to monitor the activities of youth and to decrease the youth access of alcohol.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Posey, for that special presentation. Now we want to get into, many of you guys know that ASAP annually does a scholarship essay contest. And we've had over 21 participants. If you participated in that competition, please stand up and let the audience recognize you really quick. We want to give you a round of applause. So every student, we're going to recognize you with their certificate. I will be passing these out later. As soon as we get done, we also want you to peruse our station over there with all types of information on not only underage drinking, but other substances that are abused in the country. So we want you guys to really take a look there. But now I'm going to get into the competition and describe the people who have won. Now, let me go ahead and give a disclaimer. I was not a judge. I cannot judge as an executive director, but our wonderful board members, I'm not going to point them out, but they were judges in this competition. So first, definitely want to thank the board members who did participate as judges in this competition. Thank you so very much for volunteering your time. But now we want to get into the winners. So I'm going to start off with the people who were giving you certificates of participation. Thank you so very much for participating in our event. And we have Kaylin Cobb. And please hold applauses to the end, and I will hand these out to the end as well. We have Catherine Klein. We have Andrew Bothwell. We have Linda Fizel. We have Kristen Grubbs. We have Cheyenne Holmesley. We have Xavier Jackson. We have Jonathan Jones. We have Hannah McCurdy, Matthew Mollock, Victoria Page, Mallory Roberts, Alexandra Shakespeare, Ashley Smith, Tariq Spears, Devontae Young, Jamal Young, and that are the ones that have participated. Give them a round of applause, please. The winners of the essay competition were third place, Sabrina Martin. Give her a hand. And that is a scholarship in the amount of $300. Second place was Kaylee Cobb. Give her a hand. And that amount was $500. And the grand prize winner with a first place scholarship prize of $700 is Mr. Frederick Boyd. So please give those students a hand. We also want to recognize Mr. Andrew Posey for his special presentation, so give him another hand. All right, before I wrap up, I want to give our panelists just a last couple of moments to give some closing words of encouragement to our young people. And again, we definitely thank you. Let's give our panel a hand. So starting with Mr. Marshall, just a few comments to the students, and then we'll wrap up and get ready to eat that wonderful pizza.
Enjoy your youth while you can. Don't grow up too fast. Alcohol is reserved for people 21 years or older. You do not want to see me in juvenile court. You do not want to see me in adult court. Do not drink and drive.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Grant.
I would just like to say, parents, talk and listen. Kids, talk and listen as well. And if we do this together, I think we can really bring the numbers down on this problem. But it's going to take a group effort. I always say it takes a village to raise a child, and it does. It takes all of us working together to work on this.
Thank you. Thank you. Give a hand. Mayor Stewart.
Yeah, students, I think I would first realize that every one of you has a God-given talent. And if you let alcohol or any substance get in the way of discovering that talent, if you don't stay in school, high school, if you don't pursue your dreams as far as college, career tech, job, then you're not really living life to the fullest. There's no dress rehearsals in life. This is a real thing. You won't be able to go back, if you're 14, to those 14 years have already passed. So make sure you make the next 14 count. Get a strong foundation. And no one cares about you more than your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles. Listen to their advice. But make yourself competitive. Love yourself. make yourself independent, where you don't have to depend on a guy, you don't have to depend on a girl, and absolutely not on peers. And set your goals, reach for the stars, and go for it. And you can do it, but you've got to build that strong foundation, and just know that you're better than that, you're smarter than that, and you're a lot cooler than that. Thank you.
Give him a hand. That is our mayor, City of Anniston. They weren't expecting this, but I would be remiss if I didn't give them a quick opportunity. I want to give our board president, Corey Condor, and our past president, who is leaving us, I want you guys to just come up and just give a couple of words of encouragement to the young people and the audience. So if you guys could please come up, give them a hand, please.
Well, you're right. I wasn't expecting this. I guess if I had to say words of encouragement, I'd echo a lot of the thoughts that we've heard already from our panel here. They're excellent. Trust in yourself. Have your own self-confidence. And he's right. No one cares more about you than your parents. I was a single parent. I raised what I think is a wonderful young son. Served in the Army. And I'm sorry to say that, yeah, there were afternoons, because I had to work for a living, that he was home alone. And I don't have any family in this area. So I reached out to friends. I reached out to acquaintances. I reached out to my community. I reached out to my church and got some help. And that's what you need to do too. It's not easy raising children. I'm sure you all as parents would know that, and as children, you know your parents don't have it easy. You know what a tough life it is for you to grow up in this day and age. So have confidence in yourself, believe in yourself, and like you've already heard, shoot for the stars. You've got it.
Mary, please. Give her a hand too. She's leaving us after so much wonderful service to the agency.
I think this was a great meeting tonight. But next year when we do it, I would really like to see this panel be our youth. And we'd like to hear from you to talk about what's really happening to you all in school. I'm a former teacher. I taught in the city of Oakland. And after teaching in the city of Oakland, I decided that I could run a multinational company from the things that I saw and heard. And I know it isn't easy to talk to your parents. And it isn't easy when you think you got a dime a friend. But remember that that friend might thank you someday, because you'd rather have a friend who's mad at you for 6 months and live than a friend who dies and you never can say the words you need to say to them. So continue to talk to each other, to your friends, to your parents, or find a trusted adult. And start making changes for yourself in your school and for yourself. Because I think what Mayor Stewart said is really, really true. Every one of you has remarkable talent, but not everybody's going to see it until you speak it. And if you make a mistake, it's okay to make a mistake. Pick yourself up, find someone to help you, and continue to be the people that we know you can be. Because for me, in about 15 years, y'all are going to be running the country. And I'm going to be sitting somewhere in a rocking chair, hopefully with a brain, and I want to know that you're all going to be taking good care of me. So stay strong, and congratulations to our winners, and thanks to ASAP, because you all do a fabulous job.
All right, and on to me. I've done a lot of talking this evening. All I want to say is, young people, information is so very important, and when you know better, you do better. So please keep that in mind. Just want to say thank you to all of our schools for participating. We've had representation from all 5 different school systems. Thank you to the teachers, counselors. Thank you to the board members. Thank you to TV24 for your support. Thank you to the Legacy Club for coming out and supporting with your group of young people. Thank you to the panel, and thank you to the judges. And most of all, I could not do this without my wonderful staff. So thank you to the wonderful staff of ASAP. Your hard work and commitment is so meaningful. And with that being said, thank you guys so very much for joining us in this town hall meeting. This will not be the last one. We will have ongoing community events, and we thank each and every one of you for your participation. Grab some pizza, get something to eat, get the information, interact with some of us as the board members and some of the staff. We want to get to know more about you guys. So again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Give yourselves a hand.